Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabric. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Sawtooth 16 patch block. Now we went ahead and made these blocks and I thought I had so much fun making one. I'm going to make a couple more and we turned it into a table runner. So this is a fun table runner kit we have available in limited supply. We used a collection called Bess's Flower Garden from Marcus Brothers. I love this kind of more vintage Americana look. It just looks so well, vintage, and I love that look. So if you love that look, be sure to grab that kit. But maybe you want to do this in some other fabrics. However you want to do that, if you're going to be doing this from home with your own fabrics, be sure to grab that download. It's the Sawtooth 16 patch block. If you're watching on YouTube, there should be a link right below the video. Click that and then it'll drive you right into our free download section. And you'll be looking for, again, that Sawtooth 16 patch block. And you'll, of course, see a lot of other downloads for as well. We would love to have you just subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that way you'll always know when we have new videos. And hey, while you're at the website, jump in and get on that newsletter as well. That's how we let you know about new kits like this that sometimes can sell out in days. And we also get to let you know about coming soon collections and even sales, which of course is great too. So the Sawtooth 16 patch block, let me just break it down. Super simple. It might look complicated, but so even if you're a beginner, you can be completely successful making this block. And I'm going to introduce you as well today to the Ultimate Flying Geese tool by Creative Grid. It makes making flying geese blocks so fast, easy, and unbelievably accurate. You'll see that here shortly. So starting off with our pattern, of course, we have our fabric requirements, but right away, we're going to have you do a little bit of strip piecing, very little, just to sew 2-inch strips together, just to expedite the process of making a little patchwork. Now, let's say you're at home and you want to make this completely scrappy. You're just going to cut 2-inch squares and sew them together until you have a 16 patch. That's the 16 patch portion of the Sawtooth, right? So whether you do a little bit of strip piecing, which we've done ahead of time, and just sewn some small sections together, pressing to the dark. In our case, in our kit, the dark will always be the red for the patchwork. But again, if you're sewing from home, whatever that fabric is that you're calling the dark, go ahead and press to that every single time. And what that does for you, once you sew all of your sections together, is now you have some nice interlocking seams from row to row. And then when you sew your rows together, go ahead and press the seams open. So once, I kind of jumped ahead of myself, but once you do, if you're going to do a little bit of a strip piecing method like this, once you have your 2-inch strips sewn together, this unit will measure 3.5 inches, and we have that noted here. Then you'll just go cut 2-inch strips, 2-inch sections, I should say, of that. And if you're going to be using our kit, of course, the instructions will be included inside your kit. You don't need to download anything. And we're just letting you know right here, you'll need to make 8 of the AB unit, 8 of the CD unit, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you get the idea. You need to make, you either need to cut individual 2-inch squares or make your strip piecing method and create these units. Sew them together, and now you have this unit. All right, let's move on to this flying geese. This is the coolest tool of all times. These are 12-inch blocks that we are making, the Sawtooth 16 patch block. This is a 12-inch block. So we know this whole strip is 3 inches. This is 6, and this is 3 as far as that. This is 6 by 12.5. This is 3.5 by the 12.5, 3.5 by 12.5. Finishing, of course, at 12 inches square. So we know the reason I'm kind of driving into this is you have to know what size is my flying geese block going to be finished. Well, in this case, we know we're going to be using we're looking for a 3 by 6 inch finished flying geese block for all 4 sides. All right, so what's that mean? We have it both inside the download as well as in our tool. Let's look at our tool real quick. Put that aside. I'm going to show you how to use this tool. So whether you're using this project, you're using it for this project or any project, you can be able to make the flying geese blocks really any size that you want, up to a max of 4 by 8, but as small as 1/2 by 1. Can you imagine how tiny that is? So that's pretty cool that all of that is in one little compact tool. Of course, your Ultimate Flying Geese tool has the amazing grip on the back. That's the Creative Grid signature. They always do that. I love that now it's not going to move when I'm using it to assist me. But in the very beginning, we're using it as a guide. Now you have this instruction portion, and I'll bring that white piece so you can see it. So we've already said that we know we want this flying geese unit, each of those to be 3 by 6 finished. So let's come into the finished size of 3 by 6. Okay, they're saying we're going to need 1 7 3/4 of this fabric here. That's our bigger fabric that's happening. And 4 of our points basically are 4 1/4 inches. So our next step, and we've got this included both inside our pattern and it's included as well here. I'll open that up for you so you can see it. We're going to be on the left side of these instructions that say Fast Flying Geese Heart Method. The method over on the right side is the traditional way we probably all learned, where we had a rectangle, we put squares in the corner, drew the line, sewed on the line, trimmed, and then discarded all this lovely fabric into the trash. And it hurt my heart every time I did that. So I love that this particular method, using this tool, has really no waste. I love that. Okay, so we're going to be on the left side as it's shown here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and turn that so it's the same diagram. All right, so 7 3/4 inch square is going to be here, right there. Now we have 2 of our 4 squares that are measuring 4 1/4 inches. Okay, let me put this aside for now for just a minute. We'll come back to that. Now I just want to point out there's just 2 here, right? And that you can draw the line either with a straight edge like this, and just draw the line and sew on either side, or my favorite method, Creative Grid again has come in to save me here, save us all, and do this really neat seam guide that I can put corner to corner, and I simply draw. What I love about that is, I don't know about you, but I know I'm way more accurate sewing on the line than having to hope that I can find my way a 1/4 inch away from a line. So you, either way, whatever you want to, whatever way you prefer, whether you want to draw the line corner to corner and sew either 1/4 inch on either side, or use the seam guide and draw, and now you're sewing on the lines, go ahead and get that accomplished. And we show that right here, as well as in our pattern. And now you'll cut that apart. So let me go ahead, I'll unpin that. I've already sewn that ahead of time just to save us time. And we'll go ahead and cut that. Now let's look at our instructions. You're going to have now 2 halves, right? That's what we've got. So let's press away in our arrows. They do such a great job with the instructions. Go ahead and press away for both of those. I love that with just 1 of these and 4 of these, I'm going to be able to make 4 flying geese units that will complete my Sawtooth 16 patch block, and with a precision that I could not accomplish on my own, which you will see very, very shortly here. All right, so now that we have this just like this is where we are in this. The next step, remember how we cut 4 of those? So far we've used only 2. So the next step would be to go ahead, take another one of our squares, and again, you have a choice. You can go ahead and draw the line the way we probably learned before all these amazing tools were invented, and sew a 1/4 inch on either side of the line, or Creative Grid has another seam guide. You can use the long one, or you can get the shorter 9-inch one, again, corner to corner, draw the line. That's my favorite method because I'm more accurate sewing on a line. And now we'll go ahead and position that in our corners. Pin, pin, and again sew. Now I've done that ahead of time just so we could speed up our process. And you would repeat that with this one. That's the fourth square, right? You would now bring out your fourth square just like this and repeat that. So let's, just to save us some time, go ahead and cut that. And I'm so excited because I get to show you how to use this amazing tool that is just phenomenal. All right, so let's get those out of the way. And press again, we'll just press to the outside. So you can see already, I've got a larger than necessary flying geese block, but that's what allows me to have that ability to trim it up so it's perfect as it can be, which will increase just the overall precision of all of my points coming together the way I hope they will on any quilt block. All right, so this is what this looks like. Now is when we begin to introduce the trim tool. Now there's two parts of this. I want to show it to you, and we'll right away flip over so that you're kind of seeing what's going to be coming up. We're right here right now. This tool has two sections, trim 1, and over here is trim 2. Of course, you're going to start with trim 1. And I'm going to be using a spinning mat, and you're going to see the beauty of doing that. There's so many times where I don't want to pick up a quilt block. Once I start trimming it, I really don't want to disturb it because I find that I'm more accurate if I can leave it in place and either rotate myself or rotate the mat and not disturb that fabric. So there's a lot of reasons that I find I really, oh gosh, I love using spinning mats when they make sense. They don't make sense with every block, but in this case, you'll see why they do. All right, remember how we went over here and said, okay, what's the finished size? 3 by 6. Well, that's now, we were looking at 3 by 6, 7 3/4, 4 1/4. But notice now it's letter F. Trim 1 says, okay, well, I've got this 3 by 6, and as I travel along here, that's F. So it's confirming that we're in the right location. So once we say, okay, we're going to be letter F, that's what they've designated as the 3 by 6 finished size. What that means for us in following this with our point going up, we'll start with, we'll put that on our spinning mat or on your cutting mat. If you don't have a spinning mat, that's fine. But that F right there, I'm lining that up. I'm trying to get my head out of the way so you can see that. See that white line right here and coming down here? I'm lining that up. See how that's off? This is off, but I can line that right up in that V, just like that. Now this is something that I want to point out. When you do the trim 1, you're trimming only 2 things right now. Up the right side, and then we're going to rotate that and trim across the top. That's the trim 1. The trim 2 will be on the other side of this, the other 2 sides. So we're going to follow this very carefully. We're lined up with our F because we're a 3 by 6. We're going to trim 1 time. Now you could do this if you don't have a spinning mat, that's fine. But since I do, I'm going to go ahead and just spin that toward me. So there's just a touch, just a little bit of waste, but not nearly the amount of waste of the traditional way that we learn how to make this. Now that's the trim 1. Notice for trim 2, that point up here is now down here. If you have a spinning mat, you're just going to keep rotating because now my sight picture looks just like this. And look where my trim 2 is. It's already on the side that I need it to be on. So we've already determined, I'll put my piece of paper back here so you can see it better. See, there's my 3 by 6 again, right there. That's us, and that's the letter F again. So we're going to slide this down. There's my F, there's my 3 by 6, Now look at the amount of alignment I have here. I have this, it says F. I have a white line here, a white line here. You have so much confirmation that you're in the right place. So we'll now trim up those two sides that need to be trimmed up. Now, isn't that phenomenal? I could not, guys, true confession, I'm not that good. This ruler makes you look amazing with precision that you could not achieve. I know I couldn't. You're probably better at this than I am. I just happen to be the one doing the video, but I know that I love the precision of that. Now this is a 3.5 by 6.5 inch ruler. When I place this ruler over top of this block, notice that. Talk about a check. It's dead on. That is phenomenal. You need that. So now you would just go and go ahead and square up your other blocks. Now I've done that ahead of time. So let's go ahead and go to this portion of our pattern. Isn't that an awesome tool? I love that tool. I would say the Creative Grid Ultimate Flying Geese is probably one of my top 5 favorite tools that they've come out with, because I have struggled with Flying Geese blocks, not always coming out quite right. And now they come out beautifully. And now we're going to lay everything out. So let's get our other Flying Geese and our patchwork. Of course, we need our 4 corners. And let me refer to that last page. And of course, when we made our patchwork for this, we actually made all the patchwork units exactly the same. And as we created our blocks and we sewed them into the table runner, we just gave them a quarter turn so that they looked more scrappy, so that they looked like they were actually assembled differently than they were. So that's just an idea. You can make it look more scrappy than it actually is. All right, we'll lay everything out. So fun. I love knowing when I get to square up a block, it's a good day, because now I know the chances of this going in accurately with my points coming out just like I hoped is far more likely. If you've done any quilting, you know what I'm saying is it's when you don't have anything to square up, you're like, oh, I hope I nail this, because there's no trim up opportunity. Okay, so you'll lay everything out, and just as you would expect, you'll sew this row together, and this row together. And I'd like to recommend that since there's no seams out here, and there's a seam here, just press to the outside, press to the middle, press to the outside. And then when you sew those rows together, you can just be pressing as it seems best to you. And that's what I did on the back of that block. So you can get an idea of how we did press that. So you can see that, you know, with some simple patchwork, using this amazing Creative Grid tool, you can put together a block that looks far more complicated than it actually is, and be able to make, you know, table runner that you're seeing behind me. You could be making, you know, a whole quilt with as many of these blocks as that you would desire. So thank you so much for giving me a part of your day to show you how to make this really fun and beautiful block. And with the help of these tools, it makes it even more fun and accurate. So thanks again, and I'll see you on the next Shabby Fabrics video.